Welcome back, everyone. So this week's guest is America's sweetheart. She is the very special Jenn Tran. Jenn Tran is the first Vietnamese American lead on The Bachelorette. Her journey is a story of resilience, representation, and breaking barriers. So today, we're diving deep into her roots, on her experiences on The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and how she's carrying forward. So I hope you enjoy this episode. So Jenn Tran, welcome to Afterglow. I'm so excited to have you
I'm so
on this
excited to be
episode.
here.
To see you in person.
Aw.
I mean, you are America's sweetheart, and
I don't know about that.
no, you girl, you are. And the fact that it's so amazing to see an Asian American woman leading the dating show world. For me, I just felt so seen just seeing you on TV like that. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show and just being vulnerable and like stepping into that world too. But today's episode, I wanted us to go deeper on your story because I feel like there's a lot that people still don't know much about you. And even me as a viewer, I want to know more about who is Jenn Tran behind the TV show. Like, who is she in real life and everything? So if you're ready to go
so
deep.
much more.
Yeah, I know. I knew it. I totally knew it.
Yeah.
I guess first fun question is, what's your astrology sign? I love knowing.
I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh, you are.
What are you?
We Christine's like
My birthday's in a
we love
week.
our fire sign girls.
Yes, thank you.
Wait, when's your birthday? It's coming up,
On
right?
Sunday.
Oh my
It's coming
gosh.
Sunday.
Happy
yes.
early birthday.
Thank you so much.
Do you have any plans? Or?
I was thinking about having a birthday party at Cheesecake Factory, but they haven't gotten to me back to me yet. But I like grew up going to Cheesecake Factory as like our fancy dinners as a kid, and so I would go every year for my birthday, and I haven't done that in a hot second, so I think I want to do it again.
I love that. Make your inner child happy.
Yes.
Right? I'm all
Yes.
about that. The healing journey.
Yes.
That's what I'm in right now.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully Cheesecake Factory pulls through because I love
Hell
that.
yeah. Come on, Cheesecake Factory. Hook her up.
But other than that, nothing else on the books, nothing that I can think of. Yeah, just like enjoying time to myself and like really just indulging in my friends and family. Yeah.
Love that. That is very Sag of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very Sagittarius quality. I would know. My sister is Sagittarius, and she's so
good.
family oriented. She's the one that brings. She's the glue. She brings everyone to like the family events, and
Yes, I find that with a lot of fire signs, they like to bring people together. They're like the life of the party, but they like to have a party to come to. So that's me. I love bringing a bunch of mixed people all together.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
wait, what's your sign?
Oh, I'm an
curious.
Aries.
Oh, okay.
I'm textbook. We would be. We get along.
Yes.
Like I get along with all my fire sign girls.
Me too. Okay, that makes sense. One of my best friends is an Aries, and she's a lawyer, and she's like, she's got her life together. Like, I'm a fire sign, but I don't have my life together, and I'm like, I always look to her to like,
Girl,
okay, put me on
I
track.
don't have my life together either. I'm trying to figure this shit out too. Like, life is crazy.
Well, you seem like you definitely have your life together.
Well, that's what people think on the outside.
Right.
But Christine knows me. I'm looking at her. Like, sometimes it's a work in progress. That's what I always tell people.
Yeah, same.
Life is a work in progress.
Absolutely.
Are you someone who's struggling with how your makeup applies on cakey, or dealing with large pores, or irritated skin from daily makeup applications? This is where April Skin can save the day, and it's actually the sister brand of my top favorite, Medicube. Since 2014, April Skin's brand philosophy has been about achieving healthy, glowing skin from the inside out, with natural, gentle, and result-driven products. When you're using April Skin, your face is always going to be ready for that flawless makeup base. So I've been seeing the Mask a Day challenge everywhere, and honestly, I think it's a bit too much. That's why I love this facial polish. It works like magic, and it's just 30 seconds. You can use this to gently exfoliate your skin, or as a quick mask while washing your face. Using the power of pink aloe, mung bean, and the soybean scrub, it melts away blackheads and shrinks pores. Your skin is gonna look so smooth, and your makeup will glide on more effortlessly the next day. If you love turning skincare into a relaxing ritual, the Calendula Peel-Off Mask is a must-have. So before using collagen-rich night masks, make sure to exfoliate with the peel-off mask once a week. While most collagen masks don't really exfoliate, this step is key for the best results. It gently removes dead skin and impurities, leaving your skin smooth and prepped. You want to spread a thin layer of the mask on your face, and once the mask dries, peel it off to reveal skin as smooth as a baby's bum. Made with fresh calendula petals, it features BHA to deeply cleanse pores and niacinamide to brighten. And to complete the routine, hydration is key. After using toner, follow up with the pink aloe serum. This vegan mucin serum contains 78% pink aloe, which calms and hydrates even the most sensitive skin. Using 7 types of vitamins, including C, E, and A, it reduces redness up to 12% after 1 use. You will notice dark spots fading during the 7 days, and it's gentle for all skin types. So, if you are looking to try a new skincare brand, give April Skin a try. With their gentle yet effective exfoliators and hydrating solutions, your skin is going to feel smooth, calm, and ready for any makeup application. Also, for this Black Friday and Cyber Monday, April Skin is having one of their biggest sales ever. So definitely go check out their website and Amazon storefront and their TikTok shop for some amazing sales. So you were talking about early childhood, going to Cheesecake Factory. I wanted to actually go more into just your
Yeah.
early childhood. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, East Coast girl.
Yes, I am.
Nice.
I was there until basically I left for college. But funny enough, I was a very quiet kid. Like I was very shy, wasn't super outgoing at all, like was still very much like figuring myself out. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was still figuring out like my Asian identity.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Hugely. And funny enough, like I used to watch a lot of your YouTube videos growing up because you were someone that I could relate to and I saw myself in, and I was like, wow, she's so proud of her heritage. Like that's something that I want to be too. So it's very full circle, like sitting here, like sitting across from you, and like I'm like starstruck for sure.
Isn't life so amazing like that?
Yes.
It's really incredible.
Yes.
It's truly magical.
Very
I feel the
crazy.
same way about you too. The moment
You're
I
so
saw you on
sweet.
TV, I was telling Chelsea we need to have her on the podcast.
They're so sweet.
Because it takes a certain type of star to put themselves out there like that and to be vulnerable.
Yeah, it definitely was very hard. I think it came like Bachelorette came at a perfect time in my life because I had come to a place in my own self journey where I was like very confident in who I was and very much proud of my heritage and my culture. Whereas I don't think I can say the same like maybe like 5 years ago. Like I think I was still really figuring that out, you know?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't mind us diving deeper on that, like I'm curious because I was also born in the East Coast, grew up a bit in the West Coast. My family relocated, moved to Florida, and that was a culture shock for me.
Oh,
that was the first time I realized I was Asian because everyone around me was Asian growing up as a kid.
Oh, okay.
And then all of a sudden I'm in a classroom. Everyone's not Asian. I saw names that didn't sound Asian, like Stephanie. I'm like, what is that? What is that name? What is Stephanie? I've never heard. Or
That's so
Tiffany. I've never heard
funny.
names like this.
Okay, that's so interesting. But you were born on the East Coast.
Of course, I'm
Okay.
American,
Okay.
but grew up with immigrant parents. I'm assuming
Yes.
same with
Yes.
you, right?
Mhm.
So it was hard for me to also identify and identify who I was because at home I would have to, my parents are speaking Vietnamese and they don't speak English, and so I speak to them in Vietnamese. But I go to school, everyone's speaking English, and I'm trying to straddle between the two worlds. And I'm wondering if you
Yes.
also felt this strain.
100%. And for me, I grew up in a very like white suburban town. So there were maybe like 2, 3 other Asian kids at school. So I was very much surrounded by people who didn't look like me, who didn't eat the same foods as me, and definitely didn't speak the same language as me. So when I would come home and then speak Vietnamese and eat Vietnamese food and all this stuff, growing up like that and having your two worlds separated, I think that I not felt ashamed, but almost like hid that part of me
Totally.
because it would always only come apparent like at home. So then when I went to college, it was like, well, why is this part of me only at home? Like, I want to embrace this and like find other like-minded people like me and kind of like explore that part of me a lot more. So that came definitely in college, and that's still a journey that I'm on, but it's a journey that like I'm so excited to embrace now. Whereas before I was still figuring it out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to be accepted,
Yes,
right?
that was the big
As
thing.
kids, we wanted to be accepted and be part of, the community. And so
Yeah.
that meant just fully embracing in that culture and maybe
Exactly.
hiding a little bit of the Asian thing. And
Yeah.
I always tell this to young kids that I meet that are Asian. I'm like, y'all are so lucky because we
Yes.
paved the way for you. It's cool to be Asian now. Like it wasn't
Yes.
in
It
a way
wasn't
cool
cool.
to be Asian back then. Remember in
Yeah.
Mean Girls, they had like the cool Asian
Yes.
table and then the non-cool Asian table.
Yes.
And that in itself was already like groundbreaking when I saw that moment on in the movies. And so yeah, I can only imagine like you growing up in predominantly
Yeah.
like white neighborhood, right? Yeah,
Yeah. It's hard. You just want to be
super hard.
accepted, and you're going to do everything you can, whether that's hiding a part of yourself. And so I really, through my adult life, have had to unlearn a lot of those habits of hiding certain parts of
Oh
myself.
yeah. So, well, obviously us growing up in an Asian household,
Yeah.
did you ever feel the pressure to be a high performer and to also, either be a lawyer, doctor, or
course.
engineer? Yeah.
Of course. I think that's such a universal experience for a lot of people who have Asian heritages.
Yeah.
Or even just immigrant parents, because
Yeah.
they come from somewhere else that didn't give them everything that they had, and now they've come to America and they want to take every opportunity that they can and think that they also want that for their kids. So I definitely felt a lot of that pressure growing up was to succeed in whatever way like my parents thought success was to them. And
Right.
so
Did you have a tiger mom or?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah, definitely had to have my homework on time, definitely had
Yeah.
to do extra math
Straight
work,
A's.
definitely had to take piano lessons, like, all
Yeah.
those things for sure, which is why it was hard for me to tell my mom, like, hey, I want to go on the Bachelorette, because she didn't really understand that at the time. And like, I was still in physician assistant school, which I still am, but I'm taking a break from. But it was hard for her to kind of understand why I wanted to do that, because for her, I think success is so linear. It's like, okay, well, you're in physician assistant school. Like, I want you to graduate and I want you to like have all these great things for yourself. And I totally agree with that, because to me, like, my passion is in medicine and like I am going to go back to school. So it was important for me to make sure that I had a plan that I could go back, that I wasn't just going to give it all up, like all these years of hard work of like working in medicine, because to get into PA school, I had to get all these clinical hours and like work and do all these things.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time.
And for you to I'm just going to do Bachelorette and forget everything, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
You don't seem like someone that would just throw away things like that either.
No.
You seem very reasonable and rational.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, my mom was like, whoa, like, I don't know, so.
Well, did she think it was going to be a career? You going on the Bachelorette or?
No, I don't think so. But I think also she was just more,
was it a distraction? She was scared that you would be distracted? Okay.
A distraction, and also like, oh, reality TV, like what's this going to look like for your image? And are they going to portray you in a good light?
I mean, that is true. I have friends who are in reality TV shows, and one person had to play the dumb person.
Right.
And he's not dumb at all.
Right. Exactly. So I think my mom was more afraid of my image and how it was going to be portrayed, and also that. So it was just a lot.
Mom, though. Yeah, it is a very tiger mom trait.
I mean, at the end of the day, she just wants me to be happy, and she loves me, right? But she's also always looking out for me.
Of course, it's how they show love. Like, unfortunately, our parents, they don't know that. If my mom knew that being an influencer means you could have an amazing career, of course she would support it. But they only know what they know. They only know that doctors, lawyers, and engineers, they're respectable people back home. And so they would assume here it would be the same.
Exactly.
So I don't blame them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
But I used to be mad before my healing. I used to be like, man, I'm American. I should pursue my dream. They don't understand me.
Right.
But looking back, I'm like, actually, actually, they had my back. I was a little delulu.
Oh, of course. My mom always says this, and she's always like, oh, like I have so many years of wisdom on you. And I'm like, yes, I get that. But also like, I have some wisdom too. But it's funny because every year I get older, I'm like, oh, you know what? My mom was kind of right when she was saying this a year ago or even 2 years ago. So I always want to take like my mom's like thoughts and advice into consideration, because she does have so much wisdom on me. But at the same time, she didn't grow up in America, and she isn't exactly like the most technologically sound.
Right.
So like, I also have to like pave my own way as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, it's a different generation, a different time.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine like even our parents' generation before that, 100 years ago, most people were farmers.
Yeah.
No one was really an office worker or anything like that. So it
Exactly.
just shows like, and this is what I tell a lot of people too, like the job that I do being a creator, it's essentially going to be the new 9 to 5 for the future. A lot of people are going to be doing what I do. It's going to be very normalized.
Yes.
And especially with AI coming, we're going to need more human interaction and more human like
100%.
jobs. So
Yeah.
unfortunately our parents, you know, they don't, and one day we're going to be like that too. We're
I
going to be
agree.
old. We're going to be like, what do you do for a living?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean you go to Saturn and you do this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
like what? Exactly. Exactly.
so going back to The Bachelor. So, okay, I didn't know that you were in the medical field or you were exploring that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
And you were passionate about it. You actually wanted to get into it. You weren't, you didn't
Yes.
feel forced to do
No.
it.
No, I didn't.
That's a first.
I
You're,
know.
like you're a unicorn.
Funny enough, my mom was actually in medical school in Vietnam, and
Oh, I see.
when she got called to immigrate over here, because she, you know, you have to submit paperwork and then you have to go when they tell you have to go. So then she gave up medical school, and she was like 2 weeks away from graduating to come over here with my dad and my brother at the time. And so she knows what it's like to be in the medical field, and she knows how taxing it can be emotionally and physically. And so she didn't want me to be in the medical field. But then my brother ended up somehow dabbling in it, and then I was dabbling in it because of him, and then I just ended up really, really liking it and being really passionate about it. So I am gonna go back to school in the new year and hopefully finish that.
Oh my gosh. That's, I mean, I really applaud that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah,
we do need more doctors in the world and people who are in the medical field.
Yeah. It's just something that I feel so passionate about, and like helping people, and something that like makes sense in my head.
Right.
So I'm gonna graduate school and see what happens.
Oh
but
my gosh. So wait, you said you had a brother, or
Mhm.
just you and him, or?
Yep, just me and him.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Older brother?
Older brother. He's 9
Nice.
years older than me. He was born in Vietnam, and I was
No,
born
wait,
here.
9 years?
Yeah.
Oh wow, what a gap.
Yeah, waited a while to have me. But we're closer than ever, honestly.
Yeah, my sister is 8 years younger than me, so it's
Oh,
really
okay. Kinda
interesting seeing the
similar.
generation gap.
Yes.
Like he's considered what, like millennial, right?
Yes,
he's a millennial. Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
older millennial.
Yes, yes. Are you close with your sister?
Very.
Yeah.
Well, now I am. Before I wasn't as close because I was
Okay.
grinding and just doing my work, and the
Okay.
age gap because they were so much younger.
Of
It's like I'm
course.
not gonna hang out with my 12-year-old sister. You know, I gotta grind. I
Yeah.
gotta make money, but I'll wait for them to catch up and help me.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother and I think we've always been close since we were kids,
Yeah.
but we didn't have like those conversations those like deep conversations until our adult life.
Yeah.
Because of the
Right.
age gap. And so now we're even closer for sure.
Also, where in Vietnam were your family from?
They were from Hanoi,
Oh,
and now
okay.
they're from Saigon.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
What
My
about you?
mom, she's from Hue, which is central Vietnam.
Yes.
And my father was from the north. And so it was a lot of drama when they
Oh, for
were
sure. I
together
could
because
see
you know
that.
how like
Yes.
the north and the south were fighting, and
Yeah.
the central was kind of neutral. Very Romeo and Juliet. My mom and my
Oh.
father, yeah. It was like
And-
one of those things.
I see. And they're still together?
No.
Oh.
He was traumatized and just gambled a lot, and
Oh, okay.
and is still really traumatized from
Oh,
that
I see.
experience. And addiction is kind of like one of his vices that he's still trying to figure out. And it's something that I'm seeing within a lot of Vietnamese men, because I have a lot of my friends who also tell me their Vietnamese father also have gambling addiction and everything. But I think it has something to do with the war. I think because Vietnam has always constantly been in war for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So when
yeah.
your country is constantly in
Yeah,
war,
that makes sense.
a lot of the men there probably feel like they have to find some way to soothe themselves, and maybe gambling gives them a sense of control, right? This is just my
I
own
see that.
theory.
Yeah.
To justify like, why is there such a huge population of
Right.
Vietnamese men who I mean, it's one thing to gamble, but it's another thing to have a gambling addiction.
100%. And I also think like there's not a lot of outlets for men in Vietnam to like go to therapy, and you know, like that's not accepted.
Asian men in general.
Yeah, that's not accepted. So
Yeah.
that could also be a part of it too, is that there's no outlet
Right.
to kind of talk about what they're going through.
Totally. And you know, this is actually a nice segue into the next question I have, which is I actually feel like this is not really talked about a lot
Mm-hmm.
in the Asian community. We kind of hide this, but I don't know if you've experienced or if you've seen your parents experience and how you've dealt with microaggressions.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I've had to deal with that my whole life,
Yeah.
microaggressions from people, not only people who were doing it towards my family, but also towards
Right.
me.
Not even microaggressions, but full-on aggression and
Oh,
racism.
yeah.
100%.
So I was curious if you could kind of shine more light on like if you've experienced that and how did you kind of navigate through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was younger, I would definitely suppress things like that. If there were comments being made towards me or my family,
Mm,
I used to think glazing over it and just like ignoring it and moving on was the best way. But as I've come into my adult life, I've been more confrontational about things like that, especially on my social media. I'm calling people out if they say anything that's racist, because that's like, how are people going to learn from that if you just like glaze over it, you know?
right.
But there's also a certain part of it where like I do like to protect my peace and I'm not out here online just
Yeah.
like,
We got to choose our battles, right?
yeah, I choose my battles. But
Yeah.
if you catch me on a bad day, like I will call you out and I will
Yeah.
say something, because I think people need to be held accountable for
They do.
the racism and their microaggressions, whatever it is. I think accountability is huge. And I'm just hoping that me being who I am and being the first Asian American Bachelorette and now just being a face for a lot of Asian women, I'm just hoping that the more, what's the word? The more exposure there is to me and my culture and my food and my language,
Right.
then the less racism there is. Because
Yeah.
when you think about,
demystify that.
yeah,
Because a lot of the racism comes from they have an idea of how we
yes,
are and they
hmm
just project that idea without actually understanding and going
yes,
deeper. Because I'm pretty sure any of these people who microaggressed us or, full on aggressed
hmm
us, if they walked in our shoes or our family shoes, they
hmm
would not act that way.
yeah,
Right?
I agree. I think a lot of where racism comes from is like the the hatred for the unknown, you know, when something
Exactly.
strange comes into your space and you don't understand it. I think a lot of people resort to hate rather
Yeah.
than trying to understand it. So I think I really want to help just like build more exposure around our culture
Yeah.
and so that people can be more understanding.
Right. Yeah, like I love that too because I feel like how the media has portrayed and I'm talking about Western media.
Yeah.
Asian media is different. Asian
hmm
media is it's in its own world, but
Yeah.
just highlighting Western media, how they portray Asian women, it's always the same. It's
Yep.
either we're that seductress woman,
hmm
we're the one that's a spy that stabs people in the back, we're
hmm
sneaky, we betray people, or we're just that hot person,
hmm
or
Or we're like nerdy
yeah, nerdy, or like the
and
nerdy
shy
mom.
and quiet.
Yeah, and it's like, but I feel like none of them really represent me. That's why growing up,
Yes.
I just felt like a lot
Same.
of how Asian women were portrayed in the
hmm
Western media, I couldn't relate to. But the ones I saw in Asia, I was able to relate to a
Yes.
bit more, but still not fully 100% because it is a culture difference.
Same. I totally
So
agree.
I don't know if you feel like you also having presence, leading TV shows like Bachelorette and also like Dancing with the Stars, you're able to kind of shift that narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope so. And that's like the best thing that can come out of it, you know, is like I do get so many messages online of like people saying, oh, I can relate to you so much. And like with this and that, the way I grew up, my family, or like the fact that I don't speak like super amazing Vietnamese anymore
Yeah,
because I don't live with my mom and I don't
I
practice it
feel
every
you.
day.
I feel
So
you.
I feel, but it's funny because when I was speaking Vietnamese on The Bachelorette, people like the Asian community were like, "Oh, she's not even Vietnamese. Like we don't claim her." And I'm like, "No, like I do speak
What?
really good
Yo,
Vietnamese with my
sometimes I
mom,
have
but
to call out those people too. It's like,
yes,
yo, you all have to chill
just
because I
relax."
know it's like
Yeah.
some people just didn't grow up where it was strict and even like a massive household of people
Yes.
speaking Vietnamese
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
almost wish like they can understand it's hard living in a world where you have to kind of separate the two worlds where
Yes.
I speak English at school and I
hmm
speak Vietnamese at home. It's
hmm
confusing.
So
It's
confusing.
really confusing.
So confusing. And I think that's like why I'm so proud to be able to have done that on TV, to speak Vietnamese on TV and even like kind of broken Vietnamese, is that there's so many people that can relate to that. So many
Yeah,
people that are a mix of American culture and whatever
right,
background that they are and who speak broken Vietnamese, broken Chinese, like whatever it
right.
is. And I think that that should be more accepted.
Hey,
And
it's better to speak broken than nothing, right? That's what
yes.
I tell people.
Yes, 100%. So I think that that's like the most fun thing that has come out of all of this is that I'm embracing that a lot more and like being like, I'm not perfect and that's who I am.
So how did you land in The Bachelor? Because I feel like it's such a predominantly Caucasian type of show. It's very American, so it's mostly I just see mostly white people on the show, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
seeing you on the
totally.
show was kind of game changer for me. I'm like, oh wow, they're
Mm-hmm.
becoming more international. They're becoming more inclusive.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'd love to know the process on like why did you want to get into it? How did you get into it?
Yeah.
Just the whole
So
story.
of course. So I was making PA school TikToks about my everyday life in PA school, and a casting producer saw my TikTok and reached out to me and thought that I'd be good for the show. I like took the interview as like a joke. I was like, well, I'm in PA school, but I'll take this interview and see what's up, like just as a
I didn't know
joke.
they did that. I didn't know they had someone going
Yeah,
on.
I think
That's
that's
so
how they find a
interesting.
lot of people these days. Is like
Okay.
through Instagram and TikTok and just
I
whatever.
see. And you were making TikToks about day in a life. Kind of was
Yeah.
that just like something you were doing for fun, or were you
Um,
trying to take it seriously and build a side
I
career
don't
with that?
know. I don't know what I was doing yet. I think at the time I was just like, there's a market for it. Not a lot of people know what PA school is about. And I
Yeah,
wanted to build more knowledge on like what a physician assistant
I
does and
see.
what that process is like. So that was just exciting for me. And it was also a creative outlet for me
I
because
bet it was.
when I was
Yeah.
in school, it was just all school. So it was nice to have also something else.
Right. I love that. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they found you on
They found me
TikTok,
there.
and so you did the audition.
I did the interview and then they
What was
liked
that
me.
like?
Um,
Like,
it was really just a conversation. It wasn't really like an audition, like, oh, like say these lines kind of
I
thing. It was like,
see.
what's your story? Where,
Okay.
like, what's your life about? And I think they just really liked how vulnerable I was with them about the way I grew up and who I was. And so they really loved me. And at the time when they asked me to go on the show, I wasn't sure, right? Because I had a path of PA school. I didn't know if I wanted to go on a dating show. And the only way it felt right for me to go on was if I knew who it was. So I found out it was Joey, and I happened to really like him. I thought he was like really, really sweet. And I was like, I'm going to take this chance and go on the show. And of course, like when the show was airing, like I didn't know this at the time, but I was the first Asian American to get a one-on-one date with The Bachelor. And the show has been going on for like 20,
20 years,
over
right?
20
Yeah,
years.
that's crazy.
So it was crazy for me that I was the first Asian to get a one-on-one date. Like, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then I was the first Asian American Bachelorette. So obviously, like the show has a lot of work to do in terms of being more diverse. And I didn't really think much of it when I was filming it and when I was doing it. But looking back now, like, and watching some of the seasons, because I wasn't really a big Bachelor fan, like
Mhm.
a lot of the times, like there was like one or two Asian women there, but they were never really like a main plot in the show.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it feels really incredible to be able to like break that barrier, and hopefully there are more women like me that get that opportunity.
So when you were on the Joey season, and if you were to make it all the way to the end,
Yeah.
do you think you would have said yes?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
There's an alternative timeline where you
Yeah,
did,
it's an
right?
interesting alternative timeline. But I don't know. I mean, when I was in the process, like I was definitely really in it, and like
Yeah.
the feelings were real, and like you could feel everything. But like, I mean, I don't know. And engagement is like a big question and a big like life choice. So I don't know.
Are
At a
you
different
romantic at
timeline.
heart?
Yeah, I'm such a hopeless romantic.
Really?
I mean, I think that's
Oh.
why I even like said yes to the show in the first place, was because I very much was like, oh well, this could be like my happy ending.
Oh my gosh.
I'm such a huge like hopeless romantic.
Me too.
So
I love
yeah.
romance. Like
Yeah.
I love romance so
I
much.
grew up like watching a lot of K-dramas. So big romantic. Yeah.
Did you have like any expectations when you were on the show? Or you just kind of went in like whatever happens, happens?
I just went in and was like, okay, whatever happens, happens.
I
Like,
love that. That's
I
such a
don't know.
Sagittarius trait too.
It really is.
Yeah.
Impulsive decision for sure. Yeah.
But look at where it brought you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was meant to happen.
I think so. I think so. It's like crazy to think about my life a year ago, because any of these opportunities, these people I'm meeting, like wasn't like a thing. Like it wasn't even something I was thinking about. So it's very funny to see my life now compared to like a year ago.
What would you say is the biggest change?
Um, the biggest change is now my life is very public.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Like my love life, everyone's like, who are you dating? And, and everyone has
Yeah.
something to say. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
why I keep my relationship completely offline.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen anything about like who you're dating.
Yeah. I just keep everything
Yeah.
behind the scenes now because
Just very
no, there was a
smart.
moment where I did share a
Really?
lot, but then like you said, eventually you get too much into the public eye where everyone starts scrutinizing everything and it starts
Yes.
bleeding into your reality,
Of
right?
course.
And I'm like, nope, walls are up.
Yep.
Walls are up. I'm hiding this forever. It's going to be in a secret chamber that no one's ever going to see again.
I love that.
Yeah, because I feel like we live in this age where it's not a bad thing. It's just a reality, but people are oversharing a lot. And
Yeah.
maybe it
Okay.
is more normalized,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm a little bit old fashioned now where I think I understand. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but sometimes when you put good things out online, it invites jealousy.
Yes.
It really
Yes.
does,
Oh,
right?
of course.
And so I had to deal with all these jealous people, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to show this off or
No.
this is real for me. I'm just gonna put this,
Yeah.
lock this behind a door.
I agree. I think when you put something out there that's so good, there are people that are jealous that will put negative energy into it. And I agree with putting your life private, like especially your dating
Yeah.
life, because you don't want. I think I'm such like an energy person, and like if you're gonna
Yeah.
put negative energy into it, then like in a way, like in my head, I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna like something's gonna happen,
Right.
So I'm trying to keep my dating life very private as well.
That's
Yeah.
good. But you should enjoy this publicness though. It's fun.
Yes. Oh no, it's definitely
right?
fun. It's definitely fun, and it's definitely like it's healing for me in a lot of ways to like see so many people relate to me and get all these
Oh,
nice
yeah.
messages, and to have people support me so openly. It feels really good and really nice. But there are definitely like certain parts of my life that I want to keep private too, and I think
Yeah.
that's gonna look different for every other creator out there.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, I'm a big believer in like just you can overshare. I mean, I think there's been a lot of reality TV stars that have created massive
Yeah.
brands and empires because
Totally.
they shared a lot, but they have the appetite for that. Some people
Yes.
are okay with that.
Yes.
They don't care about people talking about them. It doesn't bother them. But I think for those who do care, they should, just be
Yeah.
mindful and just know that there's consequences to either sharing or not sharing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you don't share, people feel like, well, I don't feel that close to you, and so I'm
Yeah.
going to find someone else who's sharing a lot.
Right.
So there's consequences to not sharing, right?
100%. I think everyone just has to figure out their own perfect recipe for them. And I think I'm now in the space where I'm like trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah.
Like I was very public for years, and it wasn't until 5 years ago when I
Really?
really wanted to just like, I'm not going to talk about my love
Yeah.
life and just keep it offline.
Yeah.
So it takes time. But like I said, this is a great time to enjoy. Like you should enjoy,
Thanks.
just bask in this.
It's been nice. The support has been amazing. Yeah.
I know, because girl, you've gone through so much.
Thank
I
you.
feel like you were so vulnerable on the show, and it's so rare to see that, and I think we are kind of, as a country, as a zeitgeist too, the whole world, like we are now opening up our hearts a bit more, and I think people are just they understand that vulnerability is not necessarily weakness. There's a lot of
No.
strength and courage that goes into that.
Yes. Yes. I used to think vulnerability was such a weakness. Like
Me
I
too. Yeah.
would never cry in front of anybody. I would never want to talk about my deep, deep emotions, whether it was like good stuff or bad stuff. But now I've kind of come to a place where I'm like, no, that's so good to share.
It is.
So good to
Yeah.
get people to understand where you're coming from and to be able to relate to you. So I'm excited that I get to kind of use my vulnerability as like a superpower
Yeah.
almost. Yeah.
Did you feel like when you're on the show, was it easy for you to just be yourself? Or did you feel like you had to put on a character to play a role? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
when cameras are on you, there is something that switches inside
Of
where
course.
there's a little bit of performance.
A little bit of a switch for sure. I think that's like inevitable. I think that just happens because you're being recorded.
Yeah,
You know you're on camera.
exactly.
But I think what really helped for me on the show is I had producers who felt like family. So like when they're talking to you, it definitely feels like you're just talking to a friend. And I think if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't be as like readily open to share. So it helped having someone that I felt comfortable with sharing.
Do you also feel like because you were making content on TikTok, you were
Oh, yeah.
comfortable being on camera and talking, right?
Yes, I definitely
Yeah.
think that helped that I was already kind of making TikToks
Yeah.
because
You're essentially media trained in a bit
a
already, right?
little bit, because you are a little bit more comfortable with the cameras
Right.
than usual, I would say, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you come across so comfortable on camera. Even like on
Thank
this
you.
podcast, it's so easy for you to just
Thank you.
be yourself. I mean, that's a talent.
I
That
think
is a
it's
talent.
something that
Yeah.
I've been working on for sure. Because it did, even like, yes, I was a little bit more comfortable than the other girls maybe on The Bachelor, but even then, that very first night when the cameras are up, you're like, oh my God, there's like a camera in my face and I'm making out and like, da, 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 da.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't think of that.
it's
Yeah.
weird. But it was almost easier to close your eyes and just forget about the cameras
Yeah.
than make out. So it's
That's so I can't even imagine being
yeah.
I'm definitely living vicariously through you. That's so bizarre but fascinating at the same time. Like there's kind of like a fantasy to that. Like, wow, what would it be if I were her, you know?
It's
Like, did you ever think that too,
interesting.
watching the show? Like, what if I was on the show, what would I do differently?
I don't know. I only watched like a couple seasons of The Bachelor before I was on there, so I can't even, and it wasn't even any time close to the time where I was even being considered for the show, so I don't even really know what I was thinking while I was watching the show. So I don't know. I think it was nice I came into it not really having
Yeah, I
expectations.
think so too.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the best. That's the motto for life. Go in, zero
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah. I was just being as myself as I could, and I think it paid off.
So I'm curious to
Yeah.
know, when everyone came out in the limo, did you know your forever person was going to be there?
I'm gonna say no so quickly.
I love that. It's so Sagittarius.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, the first night I was like, I just don't know about this group. Like,
Like you said, you're an energy girl. So was it an energy thing
yes.
you were feeling, or?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I was very much just like, I don't know about these men. And I think as time went on and I got to know them and their personalities more, I grew fonder of each
I
one.
see. Yeah.
But initially, on the first night, I was like, oh, I don't know.
So what would you
Yeah.
say? I know this is such a cliche question, but if you had an ideal type, and I know this is not like a Build-A-Bear type of thing, but if you were to just name a few traits of like an ideal
Yeah.
partner, an ideal life partner
Yeah,
type that you are looking
for sure. I think before I was on The Bachelorette, I had a certain type, and now after The Bachelorette, I don't anymore in terms of
No
like,
way.
in
Interesting.
terms of looks, I
Okay.
don't, because I think I had one and now I don't. But
So
now,
that changed.
yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Because I think that you can now it's more about the personality. I've always been about the personality, but I've also always kind of had a type.
Yeah. I love looks.
Yeah.
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 I'm like so shallow. I'm so shallow.
I love that you're admitting
I just have
this.
to I have to look at you. You have to be beautiful, and you're not. Oh, that's hard. That's hard for me.
I'm dying.
The
There's
personality is also important.
yes. But now I think I find hotness in energy a lot more,
okay.
in like banter and in
Oh,
the
you
way,
like bantering.
yeah,
Or intelligent bantering, right?
yes,
Okay, like
yes.
a ping pong type
That's
of
like
match.
so attractive to me. Like, you can be not attractive like physically, but if you and I can hit it off and like joke around,
Yeah.
then you're like exponentially hotter for
That's
me.
true. That is
Which is like
true.
a weird thing, but also like in terms of a true partner, I definitely have a different list now. Like, I'm looking for someone who's very open and someone who is going to be there for me in the toughest of times. That's like such a huge trait to have for me, and someone who's like flexible in terms of timing and ideas. Like, I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm always like all over the place, and I need someone who's as equally open-minded to all of my crazy ideas, because I feel like I
Absolutely.
have partners in the past that aren't.
Yeah. They're a bit rigid, huh?
Yeah, and
Ugh,
that
that's
to me
tough.
doesn't
It's tough
work.
for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't work long term for
Yeah.
me. So things like that.
So listing all these traits, I'm curious, why Devin?
Yeah.
By the way, can't stand the guy. F that guy. Honestly. But
Totally. So what was funny was Devin on the show was, I guess, like acting the whole time, and he was very flexible with me. and was very much like, I will move anywhere with you. I will do anything you want, essentially. And was like, I support you in your career path and all this stuff. And like, he was promising me a lot of things that, people didn't really see on camera. But like in the fantasy suites, we talked so much about our future together and where we'd raise kids and like what that was going to look like and all that stuff. And so for me, that was like a winner because I wanted someone who had
You
the
heard all
same,
the words you wanted to hear,
all the words I
basically.
wanted to hear.
And it's crazy how he kind of knew what to say.
Yeah, yeah. And we had a lot of conversations too surrounding like my family and what it meant to be bicultural. And he was like
Right.
so open to like being a part of a family who, he understood that, my mom might not always be able to express herself to him. And he's like, oh, well,
Right.
I grew up like speaking Spanish, not speaking Spanish, but like with his dad was was Mexican. So he's like,
I
oh, I
see.
totally understand that. So like
Yeah.
that was so riveting to me. And that was so attractive to me that he understood that part of me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, those were all just words.
It was all fake. That's the crazy thing is.
Yeah. Well, I guess I never really spoke about this before, but after the show had ended, the finale, the way it ended, I got a lot more answers off of the show because I had a lot of his ex-girlfriends DMing me and people DMing me telling me that he had been talking to them while we were engaged, essentially.
Stop.
So I think I got answers in the fact that he had been cheating on me the whole time and that it was really all a game show to him. But that kind of gave me peace, though, to know that, it wasn't me and it wasn't anything that I did and that I'm not, like, I am worthy of love, but he was just putting on a show and it wasn't what he wanted. So I have a lot more peace knowing that if I find the right partner who wants all the same things that I want, then
Right.
it'll come for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess the silver lining is now you really know what you want in a life partner through
Yeah.
that experience.
Oh, absolutely. Like I learned so much on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm in a way like grateful for it for
Yeah.
sure.
No, that's good. And
Yeah.
I love that. You're moving forward with positivity.
Yeah.
So because you experienced that, would you say you're pretty good at picking up red flags now when it comes to someone that would love bomb or say all the
I
right
would
things?
hope so. I
You
would
know?
hope so.
Like how would you now navigate through that?
I
Like
think
what are some things? Because there's something in your brain that probably popped up. It's like, okay, I'm not falling for this again. I need to have some
yeah.
sort of contingency plan or some sort of test
Yeah,
or something, right?
absolutely. I mean, I think I'm a little bit like traumatized
Yeah, of
after for
course.
sure. Because when someone promises you the world and then they don't give it to you one day and wake up and act like you're a stranger, it takes a toll on you.
That's trauma.
So I'm now not as trusting of
Mm.
people for sure. And I think that I'm looking out for their actions more than their
Mm.
words.
Mhm.
And I think naturally the only thing that can help with those trust issues is time. Like
Time,
how
yeah.
long you know a person for and how
Exactly.
consistent they are with
Exactly.
you. So it's all about timing for
Yeah.
me.
Do their words and actions align
Yeah.
every time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm more comfortable calling people out on if they say one thing and they do another.
Good. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like you went through the fire and you're just stronger than ever. You know,
Yeah.
you're reinforced now. You're trialed by fire in a way, so now you're stronger.
I think so, for sure. But I will say, like, I definitely have a lot more walls up now because
Yeah.
of that. But stronger in the sense that I know what I want and that
Mhm.
I'm not gonna like accept any less.
Well, it's going to take a special person to take those walls down, whoever that person's going to be.
100%. Yeah, they're gonna have to be hammering it down.
Honestly. Honestly, like and you can be as open and as real as you want. I'm here to hold the space for you with no
That's
judgment.
sweet.
But I would love to know, how did you cope through that whole experience, that betrayal? And I mean, wow, like what you went through is, and publicly too, like I can't
Mhm.
even imagine. And just seeing you here today, I would have never guessed you went through anything like that.
Mm,
So you're just so graceful right now,
Thank you.
but I know there's something you did that it didn't come by easily, right? It didn't come
No,
by free. Like you definitely
no.
went through something, and
I will honestly say, like, I'm still coping with it.
mm,
Like, when I stumble upon clips of me in that moment and stuff, like, there's still this sense of betrayal that comes up and this, like,
yeah,
anger and this sadness, this deep, deep sadness for sure. Because I think I'm still kind of mourning the life that I thought that I was going to have with somebody. But what has kept me pushing forward is really indulging in my friends and my family, and like I've felt so much love and support from them, and also from fans and from people just sending me so many messages. It's been really comforting, and I feel like
Yeah.
I've just gotten like the biggest hug from like everybody, and I
Yeah.
think that that's what has helped me move forward, is knowing that, you know, I am still so loved. But also like Dancing with the Stars was huge for me,
Really?
because not the show aspect of it, but the aspect of I've always wanted to dance, and I finally got to learn something that I've wanted to do, and now it's become like a hobby of mine, and I want to continue taking dance lessons. But every day coming into rehearsal and working on something that was challenging for me, stimulating my brain in a different way and getting my mind off of things, and then like accomplishing something each week, like accomplishing a new dance, was, I think, healing for me, because I was able to like have a win again,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and you were investing in yourself again.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
love what you said about how, you know, the whole community around you kind of brought back that love that you thought you
Yeah.
lost in a way. So it just
Yeah.
shows you never really lost the love. It's
No.
there, but it came through every single person that were close to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the best thing. You said it in great words, was I invested in myself after
Mhm.
that, and investing myself in dancing, and that is what brought me back to
I'm so
life.
proud of you. I'm
Thank
really proud of
you.
you.
Guys are so sweet. Thanks. No, it's
It's funny, we
okay.
were just talking about I'm keeping my love life completely private. But here I
It's
am asking you,
okay.
so I do see some chemistry.
I do.
I feel energy on screen. I could feel it. Energy is, you know, you feel it everywhere, right? But I could
Yeah.
see the chemistry that you have with your dancer. But I feel like sometimes that can be because you're dancing, and
Yeah,
it's like actors, they don't like each other, but they could still act like they're in love.
totally.
But you know, if there's anything you want to share, if there's
I mean, listen, Sasha and I have a lot of chemistry. Like, I agree. Like, dancing with him has been so fun, and he's such an amazing guy. But yeah, like I don't know. I have nothing to share right
That's
now.
fine. You don't have to
No
know. Just enjoy
news.
it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
enjoy making art. That's what I tell people.
Yes. Yes.
You have a lot happening. You were on The Bachelorette, Dancing with the Stars. What else? And I feel like these are your side quests right now. Like you're about to do the main quest, which was I'm going to do this as a career, but then all of a sudden, wait, mom, I want to do all these side
Yep.
quests.
Yep.
So what other things do you think you have ahead in the future?
I don't know. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and
Ooh.
own my own business and be a businesswoman. So I don't know yet, but I definitely think that I will be maybe creating something somehow in the near future, and whenever I decide what
I
that is,
love
when I get
that.
inspired, I
New
think,
side quest.
yeah, I think that'll be my new side quest. But we'll see. For right now, I'm kind of just enjoying the space that I'm in and all these opportunities,
Yes.
and kind of just, yeah, enjoying life as it comes.
And it's very healing.
Yeah.
Witnessing it from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then PA school.
PA school. We
That's
got
it.
you, mom.
Yes.
We're going to make you proud.
I know. That's what she texts me every day. She's like, "Are you going back to PA school?" I'm like, "Yes, mom. I told you I was."
I will tell you this. So I dropped out of school. So I dropped out of college junior year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my mom was devastated because I also spent 8 years in the medical program. I was going to become a
did?
radiologist. Yeah. I was going to be a rad tech.
Wow.
And 18 years old, filling out my college papers, I was like, I'm going to go to art school. So I threw it all
Oh.
away, went to art school, and was given a laptop that completely changed my life because that laptop got
Wow.
me onto YouTube. So if I never went to art school, I would have never have had this MacBook Pro that was donated by anonymous donor. And it was the first year that they gave it to us. So it's just crazy how everything happened.
Everything happens
And
for a reason.
everything totally
Yeah.
happens for a reason, right? And then I went viral. Lancome and all these brands were flying me out to New York, and I couldn't go back to school because it was hard. Like, you know what it is, right? Like you
Yes,
had
it's
to
a lot
like
of opportunities.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I told my mom, because she was really upset. She's like, wait, so you basically said no to the medical program. Now you're going to say no to being an artist and you want to be a YouTuber?
Right.
And
I was gonna say, like, how was that
Girl, I
transition
got
with
on
your
my
mom?
knees. I was
Okay.
crying to her, but I promised her,
Yeah.
mommy, I'll find a way to make money while
Yeah.
still doing what I love.
Yeah.
But I told her that if this YouTube career doesn't take off, school is always here. I can always go back to school, but an opportunity like this comes once in a lifetime.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I just went with that.
Yeah.
And
So we had the same conversation with our
same,
moms.
yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So just want to let your mom know that school is
See,
always
Mom?
going to be there for Jenn, but an opportunity is once in a lifetime. And sometimes the universe brings it to you, and you kind of have to connect it with your higher self to know if this is a yes or no,
Yeah.
right?
100%. Yeah. And like, I don't say yes to everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I'm saying yes to the logical things that I think make sense for me.
Yes. Say yes to the things that give you energy.
Yes. Yes. I love this for us.
I know, me too. So last question is, any advice you would give to anyone who's experiencing heartbreak right now?
My best advice is to feel your feelings. I think a lot of times I can say push it off, like distract yourself, which yes, go do things for yourself to distract yourself, but also like when that nighttime comes and that nighttime sadness comes, feel those feelings, cry it out,
Yeah.
get a tub of ice cream, whatever it is, because the only way to get through to the other side is to go through it, not to ignore it.
Release it.
Yeah, to release that energy. And so I would say feel your feelings and cry it out. I've cried so much. And I think that that's what's helped me get over it, is that I was able to release those emotions.
Yeah. And you transmuted those emotions into investing in yourself.
Absolutely.